with the contractor. So the last step now will be to get the blessing from this agency, and then it should only take a week. Guys, like I can have this place completely cleared and have the foundation out in 6 days.
Wow.
Well, I got to tell you, Chris, that's great news.
It is, yes.
You know, spent lithium is, I know from my previous government experience, is quite lethal. And so they're treating, I suspect government agencies always are way behind science, but I suspect that spent disturbed lithium is being treated as toxic as nuclear material.
I'm sure the stuff Milton was running down the damn driveway. I mean, that's got to be bad news.
The worst, of course, is that it has now rained twice
Right.
since the fire, and they've got some booms. They've got booms down on the ground with this very dense fiber that, you know, collects all the bad shit and, you know, lets the water through. But of course, obviously, nanoparticles are going to slide right through and all of it and the bad shit. My contractor, who's got quite a bit of experience, basically said, man, I wouldn't swim in Santa Monica Bay for the next 5 years.
So the big question, Chris, are you and your mom going to go back to Palisades?
Oh yeah, we're building. I mean, we're getting that place cleared. We are anxious to get started building before the rush. So if we can get this place cleared next week, then we get we're going for section 160 or section 16. I can't quite remember which one it is, but we are building like for like. So we are not asking for. Now, unfortunately, the city does not have a copy of our plans, but that's not a problem. We're just going to build the same footprint and we get up to 10% more square footage, and that's basically it, you know. And we don't have to go through Coastal Commission or any of this other crap in order to get a permit.
So is the house on a slab?
The house was slab on grade, and that will have to be removed. I mean,
all removed and new footings and everything, right?
Yes, because basically you know, it just burned hot everywhere. I was with a contractor at another guy's house down the street, and you know, there are just divots in his driveway in front of the garage door, and you can see the pieces of cement that have come out as divots. And that guy's like, "Oh yeah," I mean, like, but how is that possible? That's from radiant heat. And the guy's like, "Yep, it was probably, you know, 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit, you know, in front of that guy's garage door. So it just baked the cement, and it just comes apart when it gets baked."
Wow.
Wow.
Well, live and learn.
Yeah.
I have a couple of observations. Number one is, unfortunately, that it rained in the wrong time frame. It should have rained first and then the fires. You know, unfortunately.
Oh no, seriously.
They fucked that up completely. You know what I mean?
If it had rained a couple of inches before this fire started, it wouldn't have propagated nearly as fast.
That's right. That's right. I know it's a religious thing, so we won't go there. And the next thing is, I have a big question for you. Are people? You said that you wouldn't go swimming in the Santa Monica Bay, but my question is, are people still fishing off the pier?
Oh no,
that's
the
kind of
entire
interesting.
beach, the entire beach is closed, and fishing is not permitted, and that's it. You can't even go swimming. If they see you trying to go into the ocean, they'll come and grab you.
Oh, very good.
The entire California beach system in the bay is closed until further notice, which is going to.
And I have another question for you. What city do you live in? Are you in Los Angeles proper, or is there another city, or are you a county?
Well, I mean,
Pacific Palisades.
So Pacific Palisades is kind of like the location. We are part of LA County, and we are not a separate city, so we do not have our own city council or our own mayor or our own police force or anything like that. We're just part of LA County.
So your
Oh, okay.
mailing address is Los Angeles, California, or is it Malibu?
Well, you can put either Pacific Palisades 90272 or Los Angeles 90272. The mail's going to get there.
Yeah, it's
Sounds like a good name for a TV show. Oh wait,
Yeah,
wait.
really.
Okay. So,
Yeah, what was it? Beverly Hills 90210, wasn't it? Or yeah, I think that was it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Chris, I have a question for you. Are you rebuilding with different materials?
Oh, great question. Yes.
Yeah, what are they doing about material specifications?
Well, we're just building with cement and I-beams and fucking no plants, and it's going to be just a cement
Bunker.
palace. It's going to be
it's
frickin'
funny
bunker.
thing. It's a funny thing that you should say that because, they've changed the laws so much that people in the United States build with wood and materials like stucco and that kind of stuff. Here in Thailand, they don't use anything but concrete. Everything is concrete here. But
Yep.
it's not as
And,
effective because wood burns and concrete doesn't.
Yeah, and then a lot of people say, well, the problem, the reason that wood houses are so good is that they can twist and turn during an earthquake and on and on.
There's give, yeah.
But
There
at
are
the
no
same
earthquakes
time,
here in
you look
Thailand,
at-
by the way. Thailand does not have earthquakes.
Wow.
If they did,
Wow.
it would be completely level to the ground because
Leveled.
everything is made out of concrete.
Yeah, and cheap shit concrete, just like in Madagascar. Same thing. If they ever had an earthquake there, the city would be leveled. There would be
Leaves me
nothing
to say this. Welcome everybody to Thinking Out Loud with Friends, episode 247. This episode is called Walking Down Memory Lane or something like that. I can't remember exactly. But Memory Lane, we're reminiscing. We're going to be telling stories that nobody can prove. So remember, everything you hear is an opinion and do your own research. I'm not going to start my stories yet about that time. Well, let's talk about something else. Chris, keep going.
Yeah.
I forgot what. So yes, no, we're going to build with cement everywhere, and
Right.
and fire as absolutely will be the entire drive of the thesis for the exterior and all of it. Yeah.
Are they going to bury utilities for you?
Okay, that's another great question. So right now, they're putting in either galva poles or wood poles, and they're pulling lines because what they're basically saying is it would just take too long. In order to bury all the lines in our area, it would take somewhere from 2 to 3 years, and they don't have the luxury of that time right now. So what they said they're going to do is they're going to pull Aryan lines, get everybody hooked up, and then at a later date, go into the whole digging thing. But I kind of don't think they've got the money for that.
Well, yeah,
No.
they're never going to do that.
Now, when you say Aryan lines, do you mean German lines? They're getting it from Germany? How does that work?
No, I don't know how Aryan in French. It means they're up in the air, they're not on the ground. Or
Oh, there you go.
Could you bury the lines on your property from your house to the pole?
Yes, that's totally doable. You can you don't have to have the feed coming off the roof. You can bring the feed down the pole and bury it and have a conduit and bring your power in via conduit.
Are you going to do what are you going to do for roofing?
We're
roof?
probably going to go with probably the design previously was a sloped roof with ceramic tiles or whatever, these baked tiles. I think we'll probably go with a roof deck.
There's some material that's like 3 inches or 4 inches thick. It's like a sandwich material of metal each side, and it's got a ceramic coating on the metal, colored ceramic coating on it, and it modular locks into a trussing system.
Yeah, there was a guy that used that in the neighborhood, and lo and behold, his house survived, right?
Lo and
So-
behold.
It is a very effective material. Those people that had like gravel around their house and majority succulents. They did very well. People that had, resinous trees, anywhere on their property got screwed. And obviously anybody that had older designs with wooden eaves that project out, those are just edges that can combust. And
So-
one of the reasons that my ADU didn't catch on fire is that it's got very smooth lines. There's no edges to catch on fire. And I was doing a project and ripped out all the ficus trees that were on one side. I think if the ficus trees had still been there, I think my place would have gone up.
Wow.
So let me ask you about your place, the ADU. Now, are you going to be able to move back in there eventually, or do you have to do major modifications to be able to get rid of all of the smoke and debris that might have
Right.
gone in?
So another great question. We'll do some testing, but typically in these kinds of situations, they remove the plasterboard and put new insulation in, and then put the plasterboard back, and then they do. They've got machines that can, like steam cleaners for floors that really suck up all of the nanoparticles and all the crap. So they really do a deep clean, and then you get new walls and new installation, and then you're ready to rock and roll. But it won't be safe. Yeah, it won't be safe to move in probably for another year, just simply because people are still going to be fiddling with their debris. So, you don't want to be living there until everybody's debris is gone and all the air tests are good and the soil tests are good. And then, then you can move back in.
I just
Chris,
have to
I'd
wonder
love
if
to be
the-
there.
Okay, whoa. One at a time.
Wait.
One at a time. One at a time.
Chris, I just want to say I'd love to be there for when you hit your kick through your 900s.
Yeah, that's going to be a great day. Oh, by the way, I went to Meyer for their training. When was that? Like the 4th of February. I went up to Berkeley. It was the first time I've ever seen a course taught by Bob McCarthy. And it was really cool, very good. Got to hear the X80s again. They've completely redone the theater at Meyer with the new theater system plus X80s plus, all been redone, and it is absolutely spectacular.
By the way, speaking of courses, I just got noticed that two different courses. One, Stage Line is giving a course up in Canada about the proper procedures with their stages, and also Shure is putting on a seminar in LA on the Axion system to teach you how to operate the Axion system, and that's an Empire.
When's that happening?
Soon. I mean, that's the exact date is soon. I could look it up while we're talking about something else.
Oh, yeah, just drop me a mail. I'd be curious to hear more about that.
All right, I'll put it in the chat somehow if I can get to it. Okay, who haven't we heard from today? David Dansky. We haven't heard from you.
Dave's not here, man.
Where's Dave, man? Dave's not here.
Well, let's see.
Oh, man, I am Dave.
I just watched the SNL concert, the 50th anniversary concert. Holy cow, what a great show that was.
Wasn't it great? Mixed Mobile is one of the best.
What a show. I mean, the talent.
Wow.
It was great. First of all, it's on Peacock Plus, TV Plus.
Yeah.
You can't just go watch it. But we did that $30 for the year for Peacock Plus. And it was great. It was great. The talent was great. The production was great. The comedy was great. And the audience was only SNL alumni.
Right.
Yeah. I had a friend who did some SNL appearances a long time ago, and she flew back and got to go to all of that. She said it was absolutely amazing.
Oh man, what a great show! I highly recommend.
Yeah, I mean, Jan, you said before you had Peacock, right? Or
I said it was $30. I made a decision to go with HBO Max. How much TV can I have? Really, seriously, how
I'm
much TV
telling
can
you
I have?
what, it's worth $30 to go ahead and watch the Friday night concert. Everything else is publicly available for the Saturday night stuff. But
Well, it's very generous of you
show.
to offer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start a Patreon campaign here, so I could
Okay,
buy.
go ahead and do that.
No,
for
GoFundMe. I'm
$30,
gonna create a
Dan.
GoFundMe. I want to watch Peacocks. GoFundMe. That's it.
I'll pay for it. No problem.
So this was a
Thanks.
concert at where? Is this the live concert or was it the
It was-
3 hour special that had segments from the whole 50
No,
years?
no, they
You know,
had
concert.
Ken. They had a Friday night concert, okay, only, and it was amazing.
Well, it was Radio City, first of all.
Right.
And the set design was phenomenal. They had 3 stages. So and every act did 1 or 2 songs, had major players. I mean, Lady Gaga was there and Cher was there and Mumford and Sons and Lauryn Hill.
Mumford and Sons. How does that fit in with all those people? I'm sure Lady Gaga was there and Taylor Swift.
Well,
And, Michael
Lady
Jackson came
Gaga-
back from the dead to do a performance.
Wet.
Kind of music you can think of was there. It was really done right.
I had Hosier and Brittany Howard there.
Yeah.
Lauryn
It's
Hill.
worth the money to go ahead, get it, and then cancel. So
Well, I thought I was
spend the
watching it, but I ended up at the one that Questlove did was like a 3-hour special, whatever.
Oh
that was-
yeah.
segment.
That was the music of Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, that was all edited, whatever, by Questlove and histories and
Yeah.
stuff there, comedy. But I still was looking for that one, ended up with some other thing I was looking for, trying to get to stuff.
I
I
tell
think
you
that I can
what,
find-
what I like about Ken, what I like about that Questlove thing was the first 4 or 5 minutes to where they mashed together all these artists in the same song. It
The mashup.
was brilliant. It really was.
Yeah.
What's today's date? Yeah, okay. They're still having it.
19th. How was the sound on the concert? Because that was Brian at Firehouse did that. Firehouse did the production on it.
Right.
Yeah. From what I heard from, my brother and locals, it was something to go ahead and open up a cold one afterwards, because they just said wow.
Yeah. I mean, just in general, I mean, there's so many things that they're doing to celebrate the 50 years. I mean, just like the Questlove thing, and then the behind the scenes is another series.
Right.
And then, of course, they showed the very first episode with Andy Kaufman and George Carlin.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was really interesting. I mean,
David, have you done 88 in all your bands that you worked with?
Saturday Night Live, yeah, I was there with Jennifer Lopez.
Yep. I was there with the Squeeze in 83. And I tell you what, that crew is wow.
Well, they know what they're doing. But what's also interesting is the same guy has been doing backline for forever. What a gig.
Yeah, he's older than you are, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you get a job in this business on television, it doesn't last very long usually, but this one, the guy's been doing it from the beginning, I think.
Right. That's such hallowed grounds. Even all the people I work for, they I just show them my my past, and they went, okay, yeah, we'll do it your way, Greg. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it was. Yeah,
Yeah, it was very cool.
and they're so good there, and the desks have changed over the years, David. You know, I don't know what they have now. You know, but yeah, it's changed over the years.
Well, it's underneath the audience is where they do the changes.
Right. Exactly.
It's really an interesting space.
Oh yeah.
2 hallways.
And the monitor guy, I did monitors for the Squeeze, and it was like, at that time it was before everybody played in front of the brick walls. Well, right behind the left-hand side is where the monitor position is. And I got a feed, and they say, go for it. And you'll have sight line of all the people, and you'll be on the IP. So I just said, yes, sir. Thank you. And wow.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
So
I was working for Malcolm Hill at the time.
There you go. Now we're going down memory lane. Just the name of the show, Memory Lane. Let's go. Malcolm Hill. Who's that?
Oh man. Well, old they did AC/DC for a dozen years. And
well, that's easy for you to say.
Yes, sir. And they were phenomenal in the sense that the M3 cabinet, and then they moved to the M4. But the M3 cabinet was 312s, folded bin, and 2 opposing Tannoy concentric tens with tweeters going either way, and a horn. You couple those things together, oh my God. It was a brilliant design, and they did quite well. And of course, like any system like that, they flew, and they blew away S4s, and everybody liked them. But companies come and companies go. So yeah.
Well, there you have it. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. Companies come, companies go, and
Right.
there you have it. Ladies and gentlemen and children of all ages.
Right. Well, you were around when Shoko was big.
I was round, and yes, that's right. But I've lost a lot of weight since then.
You're trying to hit jokes every single time, Jan.
Well, thanks. That's my job on this show.
Go
Here's
ahead.
The other question. Who bought Stanell Sound? I know the contracting department went to to do a JBL for their custom shop, but who bought the PA and all the accounts?
I think it was Maryland.
How would you know that? I mean, Stanell was an LA company.
Right.
Stan Miller.
It was Nebraska.
It was Nebraska. You're right.
Well, his manufacturing spot was Nebraska, wasn't it?
Kearney, Nebraska, the geographical center of the United States. Stan was right with that.
Stanell had a PA in the Valley, because I used to rent from him all the time, and his spot was in like North Hollywood or something.
It's funny. I would have thought you would have rented from Bruce Burns.
Well, he's my neighbor. The girl that lived with him was our babysitter. He literally lived 2 doors down from me in Shadow Hills.
How did I know that you had a relationship with Bruce Burns?
We did a bunch of shows together. He's a great guy, man.
Is he still alive?
No, he's been gone a long time.
So
Okay.
the other question, you're talking about Maryland Sound. They bought Northwest, right? And what was the guy's name that owned Northwest?
Oh
Was
Lord,
it something?
yeah, I
Robert something, isn't it? Robert or Bob?
Well, that's Bobby Goldstein from MSI, but he bought
No,
North.
Northwest out of Seattle, right? It was out of Washington.
yeah,
Yep.
they were out of
His name is
Washington.
Bob. Bob something or other. Bob. Can't remember. If Kurt was here, he would tell us, but he's not here.
Not Macaulay, right?
B.O.B. Bob.
Yeah, I
remember
remember.
he had-
I mean, Maryland Sound had a whole bunch of East Coast acts. They were big, and
They had a
they were
shitload
all
of Stanley
Yamaha.
Screamers too.
They were Yamaha folks, and you know, at in that time in music, there were Yamaha folk. There were Yamaha folks. There were Soundcraft folks. There were Midas folks, and there was a sharp division with the artists.
So Stanley was Neil Diamond's guy for like a billion years.
Yep,
He
That's
mixed
right.
like 80 channels of Neil Diamond on like 3 like little tiny mixers sitting all next to each other. I remember going
Yes.
to see him at the Greek, and I was like, holy shit, because I couldn't even believe it. Because when I did the Boeing launch of the 757, I rented his PM 2000, and I rented 24 of his Stanley Screamers. Now you guys remember the Stanley Screamers?
Yeah,
You know, those padded cabinets with the tweeters across the top? They were the funniest things, man. But boy, back in the day, they sounded pretty damn good.
Those bullet tweeters across the top, they're distortion devices. That's
Yeah.
all they are.
Yeah,
Because
yeah. but
they were there was no crossover. There was a capacitor.
in the day, they were pretty cool, you know?
Yeah,
You know, Stan Miller was one of the first people to use computers to start mixing sound. I remember that really well. That he was, you know, he had one hell of a rig, man. You know, and it was like state of the art.
Didn't
Lou-
Stan's manufacturing place in Nebraska, wasn't he building the first of the JBL composite cabinets way back when they first came out, the 89s and the 80?
No.
He came out with the plastic coating.
You're right. I knew he had something to do with it, but I couldn't remember what.
But I remember it
Well,
morphed into just a custom shop. It was a custom shop, and I can't remember. There was a guy that ran the shop for him for years, and then was JBL. Then he went to some other company, a little short guy, whatever. But he had been around and done all the custom work, you know, for people.
Yeah. Well, I think Audio Composite Engineering did all the 89s and
Where
all
were
that
they?
stuff for that was a offshoot of Sound Image,
wow.
I know that happened for a while, but
right? Because Sound Image had all
Stenell had
those
something to do with it in the beginning.
composite boxes.
Yes,
like
I remember that.
Their
Yeah.
G5 and all their wedges. Like
Mm.
you had to put them on carpet or something because those things would just walk around
Yeah,
because they didn't weigh very much because they were
those were
composite.
the years that everybody, audio analysts shocked the industry with the A4s. And then everybody wanted to do composite flyable cabinets. And they could never do it, And then Claire bought, audio analyst Francois, whatever his name is. A4s are 10 times better than S4s. And then, everybody else tried to go ahead and catch up and never did.
Was an audio analyst bought by Solitech?
Audio analysts, no. Roy and Gene, bought audio analysts. And
How do
they,
we end up in a Vegas office that became Solitech's office?
well, maybe so, but all I know is,
No, Audio Analyst definitely was bought by Solitech eventually. what happened in between that they became part of the. But you're right, Ken. I was working.
Well,
There
maybe
were the
so.
two brothers that were working. I can't. One passed away, Mario, and his brother. Oh God, I can't remember.
I
Mario,
can't
stand
remember.
corrected then.
Let's see.
one of them
so
kept all the accounts at Solitech for years out of Vegas.
Right, and then I think and then at the end they screwed him over.
That was like in the past couple of years because he was still in COVID.
Yeah, that's right. In the last couple, and then I think he might have passed. But if he hasn't, he can call me up and let me know that he's still alive. But otherwise, yeah, I think he's gone. I think he had some sort of disease that like elephantitis or some. Remember, everything you hear today is an opinion, so do your own research.
When Ross was still still alive and at Sound Image, and the first pass on the composite things, because Ross was building racing sailboats with the composite material, and that's where they moved to the speaker. Was that system called a dense pack system, or do you remember what it was called?
The sound and image system?
Yes, the first one that was composite material that Ross had a hand in building, and what's his name?
Remember, there was the G5 was the big one that was like,
Yeah,
215s or 218s, and
maybe that's what it was. It was G.
You know what? I think that we should invite Dave Shadone on the show. By the way,
We should.
yeah, I think he's a friendly guy. He's not doing much right now. He's just hanging out, counting his money, and he's part of the Claire organization. Super nice guy. Hey, Dave, if you're listening or anybody listening who's wants to call Dave for me, you can. Just remember, by the way, my Patreon account, I just signed it up. No, I didn't. Anyway, so memory lane.
Another question coming to the anthology of JBL and stuff like that. What was the speaker that Audio Analyst built that was like that space frame metal thing that pinned together and had a grill in the front of it, and the speakers were open?
HLAs?
Is that what it was?
Was that the HLA? Oh, they were terrible.
And
Yeah.
it had if you had a downfield horn, it bounced off of that, and you had a frequency back onto the monitor engineer.
And you could adjust it. I was telling the guys a couple of meetings ago, the first time I had heard it. Well, Wayne, you might remember we did Earth, Wind, and Fire in the Superdome, and they had like 16 of those things per side, and oh man, it sounded horrid. But I went to the demo of them originally, and I was listening to them in a theater, and they had like 4 per side in this theater. And I walked from front of house all the way down to the front and up the steps and all the way up stage. And I stood there with the sales guy, and I don't even remember who it was. And he said, "So what do you think?" And I said, "They sound the same backstage as they do out in the audience." And he says, "Yeah." And I said, "And you think that's good?" I says, "You know what? When I walk up on the stage, I don't want to hear the damn things at all." I says, "I can't use these things. These are too loud on the stage." But they were interesting looking, but they just sounded like ass and a half.
Yeah, they had tubular. It was like a tubular concept.
And they clipped together with these pins, And
Did y'all see the article at, I think it was FOH Online or maybe Mix Online, about what they did, ATK did for the Super Bowl?
No, I didn't see it. And I looked today. I looked to see. I thought I saw a story that might have been newsworthy, on one of those magazines. And then I started reading it, and then I realized it was just nothing but an ad for the company.
Yeah. But ATK, who's part of the Claire Empire, ATK has been doing the last 15 Super Bowls, and Natalie works for ATK. I believe it's FOH Online who has it. Go ahead and check Google. Chris, am I right? Yeah.
Okay, Chris, you want me to unmute you? I'll unmute you, Chris. 1 second. All right, you're unmuted.
Oh, I was just opening up the door. I'm home. I'm going to say goodbye to you guys. It's very nice to see you all and catch up.
I unmuted you for that? I can't believe it.
I can't believe it.
Nice
I'll
see
try
you,
to jump
Chris.
back on a little bit later, but right now I'm just pulling in and I got to get some stuff done. So
Yeah,
Very
take care.
good. Well, it's
We love
great to
you.
Have a
see
great
you,
day.
and we're glad. We are very glad that
Oh,
you're
yeah.
starting to accumulate, back to a normal life, even though you've, with tremendous loss. You know, it's
yeah.
it's a rough road to hoe, and we're all supporting you except for financially. That's one thing I want you to know. We love you, but not that much. And as far if you need a kidney, forget it. You ain't getting it from me. So that's about it.
So
Send me a free taco in the mail. Yeah.
Ah,
Chris,
may the force be with
if you do
you.
if you do a concrete house, you're going to 3D print it.
That could work.
They
Cool.
have them now. It looks like
Anyway.
a lighting truss, automated printing the house.
yeah, it's really
yeah, no,
interesting how the thing works. Yeah.
Yeah.
I suspect that they probably have got that. So anyway, cheers, guys. I'll see you later.
Take
Hey,
care, Chris.
Bye. See you soon.
So, guys, in the chat, I put some pictures of the HLAs.
Yeah,
I found
Dave
some.
Sherman was, and Mark Gander,
Yeah.
from Harman JBL at the time. They were the ones who came up with that concept. It was a good idea,
That's a cool idea. Yeah.
because it was a lightweight system, for trucking. But basically, they just couldn't control the direction of the sound, and
Right.
that was the problem. There was just as much noise behind the speaker as it was in front of the speaker.
There was
And
a
so-
lot of experimentation going on at that time. There was the rise of turbo sound. Martin was doing all sorts of stuff because that was the transition of, you would have baskets and then you put your horizontal arrays in the basket and then they go up. Then we get to flown systems, and no matter how big or how heavy they are, we went to that. I mean, I was with Tasco when they said, hey, Harwell is the best way to go, and I left Tasco and ended up
there you go.
mixing on Harwells, and with Gary Moore opening up for Leopard, and Harwell's died an ugly death, rightfully so.
There you go. I don't know if you could see it. I'm showing
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now.
Yeah,
That's it.
I always thought they were great design, except for the because they're quite directional at the front. But the problem was I thought they might bring out an A version with the voice coil, which was sealed, the magnet, and it was vented down a little tube at the back. So all of that was coming out the back. But I thought they were, like the horn loading and the whole.
They're interesting for sure.
They were great, but there was always this sound coming from there's 8 of them here in town. And I've used them a few times. They're just like using a horn-loaded system, but there's too much sound coming out of the port. I thought they might do but then the normal line array took off there.
yeah, of course. I mean, those systems at that time took up so many amplifiers.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is now we're getting to the same thing. Have you seen the line of amplifiers that are needed for L acoustics array? A good L acoustic.
Really
even
powerful
even the
stuff,
even
too.
the JBLs right now are taking a lot of amplifiers. I mean, a V-Rack has got 3 3500s and a 12,000. So yeah, it's a lot of power that these are. But it's still a more efficient. What about the D&B, Kenny? How many amps does that? I mean, you got a D. What is it now? They're up to D80 or D800.
You have a D80, then you have a D90, which is in that thing of the Milan. There's a D40, which does that. I don't know if they did.
How many channels does the D90 do compared to the D80?
4. They both do 4.
Right.
The only difference is it's Milan versus Dante.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, it's speakers are basically the same as they've ever been. The impedance is the same as it's ever been.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everything
You
has
can
changed
only-
except the
You can only
speakers.
load so many speakers onto a, impedance wise, usually the best power transfer occurs at 4 ohms, not
The
2, even
advantage
though
for
a lot of
DM
people run 2.
the advantage of DMB is that they do a lot of passive networks in certain areas.
Yeah, well,
So-
I agree that. I mean, look, a V8 or a V12, I haven't got to use many of the big ones, but for a passive box, those things are incredible. But
Yeah.
still, I mean, the basic rules still
Moving
apply.
paper.
Right.
I mean, the
Physics,
major improvements are in the amount of power that the amps deliver and the type of materials and the types of glues that hold the speakers together so they could take more power than the old, I remember when Cerwin Vega came out with their 300 watt 18. I mean, it was like the biggest thing ever because everybody else had 150 watt speakers. You know?
Well, I can't
Today-
say I don't know the amplification, but I remember one of my friends, Jeff Cook, he used the idea that he came up with these 3-inch neodymium drivers that they built the Grateful Dead wall of sound with, because he felt that the 3-inch, vibrations were better than the big 12 or 18-inch vibrations.
Didn't they use Macintosh tube amplifiers to power that
Yep.
wall?
Loads
Yes.
and
Oh man, those sounded so good on your stereo.
Well, yeah. When I
What was
did,
it? The 1800 or something was 300 watts a channel, but oh man, they were so heavy too.
yeah, 3 or 4 of them
Do you
in a
remember, do you remember the earthquakes?
Mm.
What were those powered with? Do you remember how big those speakers were?
18s.
row.
Yeah.
You know what? I had
had a
two 34-inch woofers when I worked at Staging Techniques for doing effects and stuff. And they were in a box as big as a single car garage. They were just, they barely fit in a damn truck. And you could power them. The drivers were just huge, but they were so so brittle and very sensitive. And I used to power them with like not a DC 300, what was the little amp, the single rack space, a DC 50?
DC
60.
150.
150. And they didn't need much power, but they'd shake the goddamn roof apart,
But that's, yeah. I spent 2 years with Maiden with Turbo Sound 24-inch subwoofers.
24s. Wow.
Yeah, and I was a recone specialist at that point, and yeah, I could recone a 24-inch in about 8 minutes and put it back in the cabinet.
Wow.
And,
During the show, right?
yep.
Greg,
Exactly.
was that the EV24 or was it something different? Because later on they came out with the precision devices that they made with big, heavy, and tolerated stuff.
No, it was before. It was before the TMS4s and that entire refresh of the line. It was a TMS3 line, Ken.
Right. I knew
Yeah.
that. I had a bunch of those PSW, whatever the subs.
Yeah.
But the question was that they changed drivers because it was the EV or whatever, because they would not hold if the run. It would shift in the magnet. The magnet, not the magnet.
No, it was what they were 90% of the time. The voice coil would shift out of the magnet and then tear it.
Yeah, I know. Like I've had there was installs at Opulent and other places that was sitting a permanent install, and over time they would sag and it would rub, and it would take them out. You had to recone those things because they wouldn't stay. The surrounds would hold the
And a
weight
recone kit was over $1,000.
Wow.
I mean, at that time that was horrendous. But because you can get 18-inch recone kits for $200. 15 inches, they're $150 a throw. If you buy in 10 lots.
Was the frame blue with the silver,
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
that was the Precision Devices. That wasn't someone else's. That was the later one.
Well, it was
One
well,
or two.
but wait a minute. The cabinet was blue, and the spindles, because they sprayed on the inside of the cabinet. Okay, when you open up the back door. So I know the driver was black. That's all I know.
Okay, because the ones that came out, they came out Precision Devices in like 90, 89, somewhere in
No,
there.
no, no.
And it was
I'm talking
blue frame.
83 to 88.
Yeah, that would have been when Audio Analysts had a bunch of them too, because I bought some off of them after the Mr. Roboto tour.
Yeah.
Mr.
And they're
Robot.
good sounding boxes. They are. But you
They
know,
made a lot. Yep.
Were they nearly 4 foot deep or over 3 foot deep when they stood
3
when you
foot.
stood them on their wheels?
Yeah.
3 by what, 6, Ken? You think?
It took up some truck space. Let me try and remember now, because that was
Yeah.
also in the days when it was still the 96-inch trucks everybody had to go by.
One of the modern day advantages, or one of the improvements of speakers, because generally a speaker is the same, is the amount of heat it gets rid of out of the voice coil, so it doesn't lose its efficiency over the, because the temperature doesn't go up, so the resistance doesn't go up. So a lot of the modern speakers, one of the advantages is they don't need more power to keep the volume level the same.
Well,
There's
I mean, I wish Kurt were here. The brand new 24-inch quad core Myers are incredible when it comes to that. They are yeah, they're just they require less power, they have less heat, and of course they're actively monitored. So, unless there's, an absolute failure with power, you're not recoding those things ever.
So the vented gap cooling was the start of it, I think. I could be incorrect, but the vented gap cooling, and then the split voice coils. And it just reduced the temperature. So instead of dynamic compression. So, if you start off at, it could lose 5 to 6 dB when it was hot over its, and haven't you ever noticed that on the older speakers? That you start off the night and you think your ears are going down, but the speakers are just getting hotter. If you've got a small system, you've got a big system, it doesn't matter. They're all running quite
Bruce
easy.
And I had a friend that we built a system that was these old PAS boxes that were made in Long Beach or something, Harbor City, and there was 2 15s, and they were originally loaded with a 15 and a 15-inch coax. Well, we got a whole bunch of empty ones, and we put in we made it into a 2-box system, and the guy that built most of the speakers for us was a guy named Kenny Brown, who had bought out MLR, and then his company was Plus One Engineering. So we were using these rubber surround 15s, dual 15s in the bottom box, and they had, because of the rubber surrounds, they had a lot of excursions. So when he was first putting them together, the gap wasn't deep enough, and so the voice coil would bottom out on the bottom of the gap if you put a lot of power into them. So once he finally got the gap deep enough, they put out a pretty good amount of low end for not a very big box. And then the other box, which was the same box, we put a 15-inch EVL, which were great mid-range. They're 12s and 15s, that L line, man, those were good speakers. And then we took a JBL 2480 horn with an MLR 2-inch driver and turned it vertical, and so that it would fit
an
the box.
all-in-one cabinet.
Yeah, we had 8 stacks of that. So it was a 2-cabinet system at that point, but the cabinets were the same cabinet. And I'll tell you what, that was a pretty ripping little system that we had.
That was Mark's system, wasn't it?
We had 16, and then Billy's friend Terry had another
Damn, those sounded really great.
4 stacks of it. Yeah, they actually came out really good.
I did a lot of shows with those. I remember those actually. Now that you think, it took me a minute to load that file into my head, but yeah.
Yeah. To get back to what the other Wayne was saying about subwoofers and that, what Ken mentioned about the turbo sound 24 inches, don't, subwoofers. I was basically the stack guy for Donington with Iron Maiden, where every piece of turbo sound gear on the planet at that time was there. And
that's a pretty famous picture.
yeah. It was Doug Hall's design. Yeah. Dougie's.
So when you're using 24-inch subs like that for music playback, is there a bi-amp subwoofer you're using? Because I would think that 24s would do that 40, 50, 60, 70, 60 maybe tops, and then you'd need something to go from 60 to 100 or 1 1/4, and then low box, low, mid, high. I would think it would be like a bi-amp subwoofer because
no,
God damn, that's just a lot of
it was true. And I had to put out 4 subwoofers that actually caught on fire during 2 were during Night Bob's Kiss mix, and 2 were during Dougie Hall's Maiden mix. And I wish I had pictures, but that actually happened.
I've heard of that happening, but I never knew.
They burned in the fire. Hey, Greg, they burned in the fire, the picture. So.
No. I pulled out the speakers, put in 2 more, plugged those bitches back in, and they were kicking ass for the rest of the show.
Man, I'd like to see some pictures of you when you were in your youth. That's it, 17, 18.
And
we should all get those pictures together to show that would be a cool thing to see, because, if you saw what I look like, if you're watching me now and you only know me now, you wouldn't believe what I looked like in those days.
No, you were a fro bro,
Yeah.
I have an Iron Maiden moment. My son, is a big Iron Maiden fan. I've been to see Iron Maiden with him a couple of times.
With Pooch.
So he got into I think it might have been pre-Pooch.
Okay.
But,
pre-Pooch.
So anyways, my son got into making stained glass. And so I'm going to turn my computer up because he made, I don't know if you can see it there in the background. He made an Eddie out of stained glass. And over the weekend, I mounted it in a light box and put little LED lights behind it.
Oh,
and now it's in my office. So I don't know if you could see it very well, but
yeah,
you could go ahead and you could pin it up. I
tell you what, Iron Maiden, of all the groups that I've worked with, which are, many, 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 Iron Maiden treats their crew the absolute best.
Better than Taylor Swift's people? I mean, she gave them millions and millions of dollars. Iron Maiden pays good, eh?
Dollars. It ain't about dollars, Jan. I got bonuses from crews. I got, when I was at the Aerosmith, I got 8-ball bonuses if the band could hear it every night. That's
8-ball bonus.
Yeah.
That's what I like. I mean, how many grinders did you carry with you? That's all I want to know.
Oh, so funny.
Yeah.
I never got a bonus of that. Oh wait, I'm lying.
Yeah. Well, hey, you never work with me then, that's for sure. Hey, listen, let's just say goodbye to the audience right now, and remember, you make it happen. Everything you have. Yeah, let's just say, hey, look, memory lane, this was good. I think we should do more of these memory lane things. Invite friends. Lots of stories to be told. Some of them true, some of them made up. The imagination. They say in a trial that the worst evidence you could have is an eyewitness because, they just don't remember what they saw. That's
Dad, I
reality.
forbid a reel of me saying an 8-ball bonus on
Okay.
Facebook public.
Well, no, there won't be any reels on that. I don't. We'll see what artificial intelligence comes up with this week. That's all I could say. But I do edit them all, and so nothing goes out without other than the show because this is live right now and being streamed all over the world in many, many places. But remember, you make it happen. Thanks for watching. Remember to click the like button, and if you really want to be nice, share the show. And unless there's nothing else that anybody wants to say, let me go around the room. Is there anybody here that wants to say something for the record?
Something to say.
I
I have something to say to Greg.
For the record. For the record.
Greg,
go ahead.
There are no charges pending because all the evidence was destroyed.
Yeah, that's it. And we're past the statute of limitation,
Good night.
That's all I could say.
I would also like to implore everybody to go see the Led Zeppelin movie. If you're just go see it. It's in IMAX, or I don't think it's ever going to go to streaming. Go see that movie.
I fully intended to, but I don't think it's here yet. We
Has
go to
anybody
the
seen
movies
the
all
Dylan
the
movie
time.
yet? Has
No,
anybody
it's
seen the
around.
Dylan movie yet?
It's around. I found it, and I haven't gone to see it yet, but I found it in Arizona.
Right. What,
All
Ken?
right, boys and girls.
Has anybody seen the Dylan movie yet?
Yes, it's so good. Oh my God. And I wasn't even a Dylan fan, and I thought it was excellent.
Timothy Chalamet, I hear he probably will win the
nailed
Academy
it.
Award.
Oh my God.
And Mr. Norton was Pete
Mr.
Seeger.
Norton did a
Oh, my
great
God.
job too. Oh, they all did. It was very, very well done.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
Timothy
actually,
sang.
he had
Timothy
recorded it.
sang.
By the way, you know what I heard? I heard that they pre-recorded all the music and he didn't want to use he refused to do that. He wanted to record everything live when they actually shot the movie rather than use the pre-recorded versions.
Yeah, he did an amazing job.
All right, boys and girls. We're going to stay in the room. Those people that are watching, we'll see you next week. If you want to join, DM any one of us or put a note in the chat and we'll get back to you and we'll send you a link. Remember, you make it happen. Have a